Hey everyone, and welcome back for another deep dive. Today we're going to be tackling this really fascinating topic, longevity. And not just, living longer, but how to really thrive as we age.
Yeah.
Our guide for this deep dive is Marta Zaraska's book, Growing Young. You had a chance to check that out.
Oh, yeah, I really enjoyed it. It's packed with so many insights into the things that actually help us live longer, healthier lives.
Awesome. So, when we think about longevity, our minds often go straight to the usual suspects, right?
Right.
Diet, exercise, all that good stuff.
Yep, the tried and true.
But growing young actually challenges us to look beyond those things.
Totally. It dives into some pretty surprising factors that can impact our lifespans, things we might not even consider.
So, what kind of things are we talking about here?
Well, for starters, Zaraska delves into the obesity paradox. You familiar with that?
Yeah, I've heard of it, but to be honest, I'm not really sure what it means.
It's pretty interesting, actually. It basically challenges this idea that being overweight automatically equals a shorter lifespan.
Oh, really?
Yeah. There's actually research showing that in certain circumstances, being overweight might not have a negative impact on lifespan. And sometimes it can even be beneficial, like, for instance, in cases of heart failure.
Wow, that is surprising.
Right. It definitely challenges the traditional thinking. And, to be clear, Zaraska isn't promoting an unhealthy lifestyle.
Oh, of course.
The point is to expand our understanding of longevity beyond the oversimplified, thin equals healthy narrative.
Right. It's about looking at the bigger picture.
Exactly. And BMI, which is often used as a measure of health, can be misleading too. It doesn't tell the whole story.
I never thought about it that way.
Yeah.
Okay, so if it's not just about being skinny, what else does Zaraska highlight?
She kind of throws some shade at the whole superfoods craze,
Oh, yeah, like goji berries and all that?
Exactly. She points out that a lot of those superfood claims lack scientific backing. It's mostly clever marketing. Remember goji berries being touted as this miracle food?
Oh, yeah, I totally fell for that one.
Yeah, we all did. But the research just didn't support the hype.
Interesting. So what about supplements then? Are those any better?
Well, there are some concerns there too. Taking excessive amounts of vitamins can actually do more harm than good. For example, high doses of vitamin E have been linked to an increased risk of cardiovascular disease.
Oh, wow, I didn't know that.
Yeah. It's important to be mindful of what we're putting into our bodies. And there are also worries about things like contaminants in supplements and even in those overly processed foods.
Okay, so maybe we need to be a bit more skeptical of all those quick fixes and miracle cures.
Yeah, I think that's a good takeaway.
So if it's not about goji berries and popping pills, where do we start? What does Zaraska suggest we focus on?
Well, one thing she really highlights is the power of strong social connections.
Social connections. How does that tie into longevity?
I know, right? It might seem surprising, but it's actually incredibly important. And Zaraska uses the Rosado effect as a really powerful example. Have you ever heard of that?
The Rosado effect? It rings a bell, but I can't quite remember what it is.
It's a fascinating case study from the 1950s. Researchers found this community in Roseto, Pennsylvania, where the residents had remarkably low rates of heart disease.
Wow, that's pretty impressive.
Yeah, and here's the kicker. They weren't following a typically healthy lifestyle. They weren't all jogging and eating salads all the time.
Okay, so what was their secret?
It was their incredibly strong social bonds. They had close-knit families, a super supportive community, and just this deep sense of belonging.
Wow, so basically just having each other's backs made them healthier.
Pretty much. And the data backs it up, too. Studies have shown that having a strong support network can lower your mortality risk by a massive 45%. And that's even higher than the benefit you get from exercise or a healthy diet.
45%. That's incredible. So investing in relationships is basically like a life insurance policy.
Exactly.
Well, that makes me feel good because I love spending time with my friends and family. But what about the other side of that? What happens if we feel isolated or lonely?
That's a really important question. Loneliness isn't just an emotional state. It has a very real and measurable impact on our physical health.
Oh, wow.
In fact, it has similar health consequences to physical pain. Loneliness actually triggers inflammation and increases cortisol levels.
So our bodies are actually experiencing pain when we feel lonely.
Yeah, that's exactly what the research suggests. It's a pretty powerful example of the mind-body connection.
Wow. So what are some of the long-term health effects of loneliness?
Well, it can lead to fragmented sleep, heightened attention to social threats, and even changes in gene expression.
Wow.
And it can increase your risk of dying by a pretty significant 26%.
26%? That's alarming.
It really is. Loneliness is a serious public health issue.
Okay, I'm officially convinced that loneliness is something we need to take seriously.
Absolutely.
So how do we combat it? Is it just about having more friends?
It's not really about the quantity of connections, but the quality.
Ah, okay.
Zaraska emphasizes close, high-quality relationships, those where you feel truly seen, heard, and supported. And a prime example of this is a happy marriage.
Oh, interesting. I have heard that married people tend to live longer, but is there actually a physiological reason for that?
Absolutely. Happy couples actually start to synchronize on a physiological level. Their blood pressure, cortisol levels, even their heart rates start to match up over time.
Wow, so it's like their bodies are literally becoming in sync with each other. That's amazing.
Right. But, and this is important, those benefits only apply to happy marriages.
Right, of course.
Yeah.
But what about those of us who aren't married? Are we just destined for a shorter lifespan?
Not at all. Strong friendships are just as vital.
Ah, okay.
Having people you can truly rely on and confide in makes a huge difference in your health and happiness.
So it's like having a team of cheerleaders for your well-being. Okay, so we've established that strong relationships are crucial for a long and healthy life. But what about our own minds? Do our thoughts and attitudes affect how long we live?
You bet they do. Growing young goes really deep into how our personalities and emotions directly impact our lifespans.
Okay, this is getting really interesting. So tell me more. What kind of personality traits are we talking about? Are some personalities better for longevity than others?
Well, optimism and a sense of purpose are two biggies. Studies have shown that optimists can actually live up to 10 years longer. And having a clear purpose in life can buffer the negative health effects of stress, even potentially protecting against Alzheimer's disease.
Wow, so a sense of purpose can actually protect your brain. That's pretty amazing.
Right. You might be familiar with the Japanese concept of ikigai.
Oh, yeah.
It's like your reason for being, your unique purpose. And having a strong ikigai is a powerful predictor of longevity.
Wow, that's fascinating. So it's like finding your passion and living it out actually makes you healthier.
That's the idea.
I love that. But what about, the not-so-positive personality traits? Can those actually shorten your life?
Unfortunately, yes. The book talks about the type D personality. These are people who experience a lot of negative emotions but keep them bottled up inside. And that combination is actually linked to faster aging, shorter telomeres, and increased inflammation.
Oh, wow. So all that negativity is basically eating away at you from the inside out.
Yeah, you could say that. And it's not just type D personalities either. Neuroticism, which is characterized by worry and anxiety, is linked to an increased mortality risk of up to 33%.
That's a pretty alarming statistic. So if you're naturally a worrier, are you just destined for a shorter life?
Not necessarily. One of the most encouraging aspects of growing young is its emphasis that personality isn't fixed.
So you're saying we can actually change our personalities. Is it really possible to go from being a worrywart to a happy-go-lucky optimist?
Well, it might not be about becoming a totally different person, but research shows that we can actively work on shifting our personality traits.
How so?
Through specific interventions and practices, we can actually make changes. And one trait that seems to have a particularly positive impact on longevity is conscientiousness.
Conscientiousness, you mean like being organized and disciplined?
Yeah, exactly.
Does that really make a difference in how long you live?
It really does. Think about it. Conscientious people are more likely to adopt healthy behaviors like exercising regularly, eating a balanced diet, and avoiding risky activities.
Right.
All those things contribute to a longer, healthier life.
So it's not just about genetics then. We actually have more control over our lifespans than we think.
Absolutely. Growing young is all about empowering you to take charge of your health and well-being. And it's not just about adding years to your life, but adding life to your years.
I love that. This is seriously making me rethink my whole approach to life. I feel like we've covered so much already, and I can't wait to dive deeper into the practical strategies Zaraska offers.
I know, right? We've only just scratched the surface.
Well, I'm definitely ready for more. Let's jump right in and explore some of those solutions. I'm ready to start growing young today.
Great. So we've been talking about this connection between our minds and bodies when it comes to longevity. How can we actually, harness that connection to really live longer and healthier?
Yeah, that's the million-dollar question, isn't it? I mean, the book doesn't just point out the problems, does it? It offers some solutions, too.
Exactly. Zaraska gives us a ton of practical tips, but one that really stuck with me was this concept of self-domestication.
Self-domestication. Okay, you have to break that one down for me. It sounds a little sci-fi. to be honest.
I know, right? It sounds kind of out there, but it's a pretty fascinating idea. Zaraska draws these parallels between humans and bonobos.
Bonobos.
Yeah, those super chill cooperative apes. She basically argues that, like bonobos, humans have evolved to become more tolerant and social, and that this shift has actually had a huge impact on our health.
So we've basically domesticated ourselves to live longer. That's a wild thought. How does that actually work, though?
Well, a key part of this whole self-domestication thing involves those social hormones, like oxytocin and serotonin.
Right.
Think about those synchronized heart rates in happy couples.
Oh, yeah.
That's oxytocin in action. These hormones are crucial for fostering social connections and influencing our well-being.
It's like our bodies are literally hardwired for connection. So how do we boost those feel-good hormones then? How do we tap into this self-domestication power?
Well, Zaraska points to mindfulness and meditation practices as a really powerful way to do that.
Okay, full disclosure, I've always been a little skeptical of meditation. It always seemed a little too woo-woo for me.
Yeah, I get that.
But is there any actual scientific evidence that backs up its benefits?
Oh, absolutely. It's not just about relaxing or relieving stress.
Okay.
Meditation can actually physically alter the structure of your brain.
Whoa, hold on. Meditation can actually reshape your brain.
Yep. It can lead to a calmer amygdala, which is the part of the brain that processes fear and anxiety.
Okay.
And a more active insula, which is linked to empathy and reward.
Wow, that's incredible. So what kind of benefits does this brain rewiring have on our overall health?
The research is amazing. Meditation has been shown to reduce inflammation, boost your immune system, improve sleep quality, and even lengthen those telomeres, which protect your DNA from damage.
Wait, meditation can actually slow down aging at a cellular level? I had no idea it was that powerful.
It's pretty mind-blowing. And it's not just meditation either. Zaraska talks about other mind-body practices like yoga, tai chi, and qigong, all of which can help to reduce stress, improve flexibility, and boost your immune system.
Okay, this is totally changing my perception of these practices for, hippies in yoga pants. I feel like we could learn a lot from cultures that have already embraced these mind-body approaches in their daily lives. Does Zaraska offer any examples?
She does. She points to Japan as this really fascinating case study for longevity.
Oh, Japan. They have the highest life expectancy in the world.
Exactly. And while diet and genetics definitely play a role, there's more to the story.
Okay, you've got my attention. What are they doing differently in Japan?
Well, one thing Zaraska highlights is the importance of social cohesion and community engagement in their society. They have these neighborhood associations called chonaikai, where residents come together to support each other.
Oh, interesting.
And they place a lot of emphasis on working past retirement age, which keeps people active and engaged and connected.
Working past retirement age. That kind of goes against everything I thought I knew about, like the ideal retirement, sipping cocktails on a beach somewhere. But it sounds like staying engaged in meaningful work is actually good for you.
Right. It provides a sense of purpose, which we already know is a major longevity booster.
Right. It all comes back to that ikigai. What else contributes to Japan's incredible longevity?
Zaraska also talks about the role of mindfulness in Japanese culture. It's woven into so many of their traditional practices, like the tea ceremony and flower arrangement. These rituals encourage you to focus on the present moment, which can really help to reduce stress.
It's like mindfulness is built into their everyday lives. No wonder they're living longer, healthier lives. Okay, I'm definitely feeling inspired to add some of these Japanese practices into my routine.
I think that's a great takeaway.
So we've talked about social connection, cultivating a positive mindset, all that good stuff. But are there any specific actions we can take to boost our longevity? What does Zaraska suggest we do on a daily basis?
Well, the book is full of practical tips, but a few key takeaways really jump out. First, prioritize those strong, meaningful relationships. Invest time in your marriage, nurture your friendships, connect with your community.
So basically, put down the phone and engage with real people.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Second, make mindfulness a regular practice. Even just a few minutes of meditation each day can make a huge difference.
Yeah.
There are tons of apps and resources available these days, so it's pretty easy to get started.
Okay, I'm definitely going to give that a try. What else can we do to start growing young today?
Find your ikigai, that reason for being, what lights you up, what brings you joy. Embrace those things. And don't forget about those personality traits. They're not set in stone.
Right.
Work on cultivating the positive ones like conscientiousness and optimism. Start small, maybe set a few realistic goals each day or practice gratitude.
Okay, I can do that.
And never underestimate the power of kindness. Volunteer in your community. Contribute to something bigger than yourself.
This is so inspiring. I'm getting a blueprint for a longer, healthier, happier life.
And that's exactly what Zaraska aims to do with this book, to empower us to see that longevity is not just about luck or genetics. It's about making choices that support our well-being.
This deep dive has been a total game changer for me. I feel inspired to make changes in my life and contribute to a society that values longevity and well-being.
Me too.
Okay, so before we get carried away, let's wrap up this part of the episode.
It's really empowering to think that we can actually influence how long and how well we live.
Absolutely.
And there's just so much more to explore in Growing Young itself.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
But before we wrap up, I think it'd be awesome if you could leave our listeners with a final thought-provoking question.
Okay, I like that. So if we can consciously, shape our own minds and relationships to live longer, healthier lives as individuals, think about what that could mean for society as a whole. Like, what if we applied these principles, but on a much larger scale?
That's a really interesting question. It's like we've been so focused on individual health, but the answer might be something much, much bigger.
Exactly. Imagine a society that actually prioritizes things like social connection, a sense of purpose.
A society that encourages things like mindfulness and compassion. What kind of impact could that have on our, collective well-being?
It's kind of mind-blowing when you think about the possibilities. Like, we're on the verge of unlocking some next level of, human potential.
It really is. And that's the beauty of Growing Young, I think. It's not just about adding years to our lives. It's about adding, life to our years. And realizing that the choices that we make can have a ripple effect.
Yeah.
They don't just shape our own health. They shape the health of our communities and the world around us.
I'm so inspired to make changes in my own life.
Me too.
And, contribute to creating a society that actually supports longevity and well-being for everyone.
Yeah, that's the goal.
What a great note to end on.
I couldn't agree more. And hey, remember, the journey to growing young, it starts with a single step. So whether that's, reaching out to a friend, practicing a little mindfulness, or discovering your ikigai, every action that you take can move you closer to a longer, healthier, and more meaningful life.
So true. I highly, highly encourage all of you listening to check out Growing Young for a deeper dive into this fascinating topic. It might just change your life. And until next time, keep on diving deep.